Hi there.
Hi there. Welcome back.
Welcome back
to Silhouettes JV Podcast. I am Gia Doxy.
And I am David Ben-Ari. We have been your hosts for the last year and change.
Yeah,
and
a lot of change.
And a lot of
pennies, good pennies,
good pennies, yeah.
Yes, a lot of change. Yeah.
And we're still here, guys, after a year. It's so crazy.
Well, so a year and change means a year and a half, right? So it's only
been a year.
I
think it's a year and however much.
Okay, and however many pennies, and you got a nickel? You got a nickel?
Call your mother.
You're gonna be home late.
Exactly.
That's what this means.
Exactly. And so listen, I mean, you found us on YouTube, but hey, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Anchor.fm, and check out all of our past episodes from season 1 and some of the past episodes from season 2. We have been on here for a year, guys, and we want to make sure that you're getting all the Jersey boys that you can get.
Exactly. It's just about 40 episodes, if not more.
We're so grateful.
Yes.
So happy.
So thank you so much for listening and for watching our episodes. And tonight, or today, yes,
we got Mike Backus with us in the Zoom studio tonight. Mike Backus performed in Jersey Boys Out in the Desert in Las Vegas.
No, not Nevada, but it threw me in the river.
He was out in Las Vegas with fellow Silhouettes JV podcast alum Devin May, Travis Clower, Aaron DeJesus, and Jeff Lebo, along with everyone else from that amazing cast, crew, company with the stars, the moon, the sun, rolled all into one. All right?
Yes, and he was a swing, which is our favorite. We love swing.
Who loves swings, pretty baby?
Yes, of course, in Jersey Boys. That's our show. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
Bye, good luck,
Bye, good
as
luck.
we like to say. Yes, so Mike Backus was a swing in Jersey Boys, and he covered 6 tracks, including Tommy DeVito and Bob Gaudio. Okay, so very rare, that never happens. Tommy and Bobby, 2 completely different characters.
You just hit the double fecta.
Double fecta. Exactly.
Hey, we did that. We talked about. Hey.
Which is great. So he made his Bob Gaudio debut mid-show.
In the middle of
mid-show, in the middle of a costume fitting, no less. And he tells us all about it. He was also in the national tour of A Bronx Tale. He played Eddie Mush and understudied Lorenzo, which of course was played by our Silhouettes JV podcast alum Richard H. Blake. And he covered 3 principal tracks on the national tour of Rock of Ages, which he also did on a cruise ship production tour. So Mike Backus has been around many blocks.
Around town.
Bring it around town.
And not only that, he understudied Danny Zuko in Greece with none other than Frankie Avalon.
Come on.
The Frankie Avalon. That's all. As the teen angel, along with future Silhouettes JV podcast guest and Jersey Boys alum, Doug Crawford. Can't wait to have you on, Doug.
I mean, well, we had him on.
You
haven't seen him yet, so stay tuned.
Just haven't met Doug yet.
Nice.
Michael Bublé, and that's funny because
Backus.
Mike Backus has been in multiple groups, like singing groups. You know, he was with the Broadway Boys and also
Facebook groups. And no, he's not on Facebook actually. Right.
He was in Shades of Bublé. Just haven't met Doug yet, haven't met you yet, Michael Bublé.
Right.
And he's been in all of these groups singing classical arrangements of classic Broadway hits, pop and rock standards, Michael Bublé tunes, and he has been in a slew of regional productions all over the country.
All over the map.
Yes. All over the map.
And we are here to celebrate Mike Backus and his new show debuting at the Triad Theater on 72nd and Broadway on July 29th at 7 p.m. It's going to be wonderful. If you're in the area, please be there. Yes, we'll be there. We have our tickets, and the ticket link is as in our big link in bio. So please go find it on our Instagram. It'll also, of course, be in the description here on YouTube. And please check it out. So it's going to be Mike and his beautiful girlfriend and very, very talented Pilar Martinez. And they both created the show called Timeless, where they are singing classic tunes from the 30s all the way to the 60s. And he's showing us that the world really is timeless things that different things that mean different things to them, and they're going to incorporate different stories of their lives and how music and art are beyond time and space. and how they live in our realities all the time when we might not realize it or might be afraid to realize it. So we're really excited to see him.
Yeah.
And so please enjoy this episode with Mike Backus, get to know him and his Jersey Boys experience, and we hope you enjoy. And
Absolutely.
We were talking about you working at
the Snapple Center.
Snapple Center. So
The Jerry Orbach Theater, where the
Right.
Fantastics was, where the Office
It was
musical was.
It was a very brief moment in time. I was a lot younger. I think I might have been, it was probably pre-Jersey Boys. And I got a job ushering there and like / selling merchandise. And I was like, well, maybe I can like meet, directors and whoever and try to like slide into it. Never happened. But I mean, I met a lot of cool people.
Okay, so my friend was the music director back then, I think. His name was Robert Felstein. Do you know him?
No.
He was the MD / pianist at the Fantastics for like 10 years. I mean, guy can read sheet music like fucking newspaper. It's nuts. So all of these guys at Jersey Boys, Andrew Wilder, who MD'd Broadway for a long time, Keith Thompson, who was your MD, and obviously Ron Melrose, they can all read sheet music like fucking newspaper.
Oh yeah,
It's
they're
nuts.
also Ron has, and I'm sure anybody who knows Ron who's gonna watch this will agree, the best ear ever.
Can you tell us a Ron story that you have?
I mean,
or like just an experience, like
best ears in the business.
a more recent one, when I was in final callbacks for Bronx Tale, we were all kind of broken up into it was like I think groups of 4 or 5, and we're all singing the same thing. I think it was a snippet of a Jersey Boys tune. Actually, I'm not. It was
oh
like
shit.
Why
not?
It was a working my way, I think, but it was like the harmony part. Working my way back to you, but everybody got like a.
Oh,
so he just wanted to hear.
Is that because? Were you going for one of the doo-wop singers?
I was going. There were doo-wop guys there, but there were also guys who were supposed to be like the mob guys. So all the mob guys also harmonized too later.
Okay. Okay.
So he just wanted to hear, and also the Webster Avenue. Everybody who was up for ensemble essentially had to do this harmony.
Close
thing.
harmony.
And man, like it blew me away that he like. We'd all be singing, and I'm like, wow, this sounds so good. And I'm like, wow. And then he'd be like, stop. And he'd literally point to the person who was off. And I'm like, how did you hear that? Or he like pointed to the group. I mean, I'm paraphrasing the moment, but it was incredible, the ear and the attention to detail he could have. And he wasn't that close. I mean, we were all, far away from the piano, and he was able just to, and even during Jersey Boys rehearsals, when we started, and he would come in, he'd be like, nope, something's off. Like people have that kind of ability, and he's one of those guys.
To be really to be really cheesy, he's one of the great ones.
Yeah, it's true. He is definitely one of the great ones. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to work with him again.
He wrote a song for Gia's birthday that it was just like a bunch of rhymes on Gia. And it was just so clever. It was so great.
I'm guessing you guys had him on the show before as well.
Yeah, we had him on back in September. Yeah, he was
very cool.
He was one of our first guests. Michael Fasano, who played Frankie on the cruise.
I know Michael.
Oh, great. Yeah. So he put in
a good word.
He put in a good word with Ron. Oh well. It was Dramard actually, but Fasano pushed us. Fasano pushed us to reach out to Ron, but Nick Dramard put in a good word.
Right.
To
who are these people?
Ron. Vetted us. But
in his closet, he's talking to us. We're like, Ron, you're talking to us in your closet. You're Ron Melrose.
Closet office. What a guy. But so. Anyway,
well, the reason why I wanted to bring it up for the recording was because so when you said that like you felt like you were able to slide in maybe with the directors, like that is a huge thing that I learned in New York, because everyone tells you that you can do that and you can make those lateral moves. It's almost impossible to do that.
It's impossible. I think back in the day, you could have that sort of that gusto and walk into an office and be like, I want to be seen for this and whatever. But you can't do that anymore. I mean, I can tell you I'll tell you a great story. This was one of my first shows I ever got. This was this kind of moment. I was on the train. I came from school. I left URI to audition for Footloose, the musical.
Mhm.
And I walk in and they're about to close up the audition. My train got in late. So long and the short of it is, I was like, I have to be seen for this. And in my mind, I'm like, I am Ren McCormick. And I wrote on a little like index card, and then I think I found like a paperclip, and I paperclipped my resume and headshot and slid it under the door. And they came out and they're like, "You're Ren McCormick?" I was like, "Absolutely." And I walked in. I didn't book Ren, but I booked the understudy and Travis or something. Chuck's like one of Chuck's bad guys. Cut to so I get that phone call. I'm at Lake Truson Summer Theater and I'm doing summer stock, like, in rep. And
wow.
I'm all excited. I get the call that I'm going to be playing Travis understudy Ren. I'm like, oh my god, I got. Then cut to a month later, they lose their Ren. And they're like, "Hi, is this Mike Backus?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how you guys doing? I'm so excited to be going on the road." Da da da. They're like, we're wondering if you'd be interested in playing the part of Ren. I about lost it. I think you can do if your gut's saying to do something, do it.
That was your first big gig, and you did it because you took the initiative. I love that. So, because you're right, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the more stories I hear in New York of people who try to move or well, for me, I actually had one of those moments at a job I temped at because I just needed something for a month. Like, it worked out, but it's just, but there's so many crazy New York stories that things just kind of fall flat when you think it's going to be the biggest thing ever. So you just have to keep trying until you do get that aha moment.
It's like with apartments also, people end up with these crazy apartments that they never would have imagined that they could actually pay for,
Right? Just gotta keep looking.
Yeah.
And I think if I never did do that, as sort of out there as it is, I don't know where my career would have, that was like my first big role. And then from there I was able to, keep on rising that ladder.
Yes.
So I was very, very blessed.
Let's talk about your career. So where are you from first?
Oh gosh. I'm originally from White Plains, New York.
Hey, the beautiful theater up there.
Yeah, they just the White Plains that Performing Arts Center right in the heart downtown White Plains. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
New Rochelle. Or maybe White Plains.
New Rochelle.
Well, and there's so many. Jonathan Larson went to White Plains High. He has that song da 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 at White Plains High and Tick Tick Boom. That's his alma mater.
Oh my god, and that kind of sounds like
But yeah, so I don't know if my sisters went to school with him, but I think they probably ran in the same circles. But
wow.
Yeah, so I went to I grew up on White Plains, went to White Plains High School. Yeah, that's where I grew up. What else can I say about White Plains? It was kind of cool when I ended up, I'm fast forwarding a little, but when I ended up directing Rent at the Square Foot Theater in Connecticut, in Wallingford, Connecticut, I reached out to Julie Larson and I said, I don't know what you're up to, but I would love for you to come see this production of Rent. I actually went to White Plains High School and she wrote me back. This was on Facebook before I was hacked and I have been back on there. But she wrote this beautiful message and she sort of let me in a little bit about, him, and she called him Johnny. She's like, no one ever called him Jonathan. They called him Johnny. She's like, I wish you nothing but the best. It was very sweet. I have this long. I'll send it to you guys. I still have the letter in my.
Oh, we'd love to see it.
It was very cool. But
God.
yeah. So White Plains is the old stomping grounds. That's where I'm from.
And this was after you did Rent, right?
So it was cool because I had done Rent at the Engelman, then I got to direct it, and then I got to do it. Then I got to do Roger again at the McHayden Theater after directing it because they had a buddy of mine, Josh. I'm gonna blank on his last name right now. He's a buddy of mine though. He reached out. He was like, "Hey, we're looking for a Roger. Can you come in? Can you sing?" And so I was like, "Sure." And I was a little, I'm a little old in the tooth for the Roger at the time, but I was like, "Sure, I'll go in." And sure enough, I got to do the role again. So it was kind of fun to revisit it after directing it. You know, I got to do it once, and then I got to.
Of course.
Sure, like
Yes.
it's like a sandwich.
Yeah, it was
It's
very.
like a rent sandwich featuring
Mike Backus.
featuring Mike Backus as director / Roger Davis. Yeah, and so jumping ahead a little bit, just to stay on this kind of theme of revisiting things. You know, you told us you were auditioning for Jersey Boys again at the Fulton Theater.
I was, but right before COVID hit, I had gone in. Actually, Nick Dramard was behind the table because
He was the choreographer. Yeah,
and so it was surreal because I'm like, I know he played Tommy, so they're like, all right, you know, can you do the monologue and then sing the song? I'm like, that's our song, and he's like right there. I'm doing the whole thing. And and he's just kind of like nodding his head, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this is like a good nod. Like, even though he's the choreographer, but like still, like you want him to like it. I hadn't heard anything, but I'm hoping it's because the pandemic hit, or that I'm just at the time I wasn't what they were looking for. And because again, you gotta, depending on who they're casting for the guys, like I understand, like I'm a little older, maybe the Frankie, it's a chess match as far as like who's gonna match up with each other, so
right. It's the musical
I
chess.
understood that.
Musical.
Yeah, just to clarify for our listeners, so there is there was supposed to be a version of Jersey Boys at the Fulton Theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
There were auditions for it last year, so this was right before COVID hit.
How do you feel about like? I always love having a Tommy that's like significantly older.
I think
he
absolutely should be, because first of all, he's the pilot. He starts off the show. So he's got to have that maturity. He's got to have that swagger, that confidence. He's also, I said this to you guys before we had our sound check, he's a ticking time bomb, man. He's like, he's living in this, like, the littlest thing is going to, make him lose his cool. So you got to be able to play like, hey, whatever you need, Frankie. And then you got to be able to be a tough guy, and you got to be able to be scary, because he was.
I think
he didn't mess around. Can't be all anger though. I think he's really hurt. I think there's a lot of
hurt. He definitely is hurt. Yeah. It's anger plus an ego deflation and a confidence deflation.
He's like,
and then
also, money, I'm gonna take care of it.
The group needs money, I take care of it.
Oh, I like how you just said that. Can you say it again?
I don't even know. I just said the group needs money. I'm going to take care of it. It's like he's like
But the way you just said it is like I'm gonna. It's fine, you guys. Like I got this. It's not.
Yeah, I got it.
Don't
stop doubting. Stop doubting me.
Right. Yeah. But it's like no, like, I take care of it.
Yeah.
Like it's like a lot of people. You don't play it selfish. You played it as in like, guys, like I got this.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Everybody, right?
Because I think it's very easy to just live and make him mad and angry the whole time. He's not. He's not. Here's a fucking nuance. Take the fucking ape suit. Get the fuck out of here. God, he has so many good lines.
So many good lines.
Everybody does.
Everybody really does have.
You're giving us Brown. Yeah. That's because you're paying us shit. So many. He's like, well, they all have great lines. I mean, come on, the writers were unbelievable.
Rick Ellis,
Marshall Brickman, baby.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Telling us just like writing, like with the humor in the show. He always says he's just like, I don't write jokes.
I write laughs.
Right.
There's a difference between writing, which was so significant, because like a joke is something that you can tell out of context, but a laugh is like you need the context. You got to build up, and you can't just tell a laugh outside. You can't tell a laugh. You can tell a joke. You can't tell a laugh.
Right. Which is so Howard Tucker, who says hello.
Oh my God, he emailed me today, and I need to email him back. Yes, I love him. Such a sweetheart. Love Howard. Love Howard.
Yeah. Well, Howard. He actually has a question that he wanted to bring up. So he could even on our episode tonight.
Oh my goodness.
He had a story that you told him how you were like when you were with Dez, you would bring him coffee and you would give him football stats.
Oh my God. No, it is.
No, okay.
No. This is one of my favorite Dez stories because, again, we're at the Curran Theater being at the Palazzo in Vegas, right? So we had our trial, I think it was like 2 weeks or something there, right? So we're in tech. Me, myself, Colin Trahan, Graham Fenton in the back of the theater, taking copious notes and like just watching everything, right? Dez, who's down front, he was dealing with one of the four seasons, or like all four guys were on stage, they're doing something, and we're like, we're watching everything. He turns around and he's like, and he points, and it might not have been me, but he's like, he didn't say anything. He's just like, I need somebody. So I'm like, so I bolt down I love that Howard thinks it's not, I didn't give him his stat. So I run down and I'm like, yeah, Dad, like put me in, coach. Like, what do you need?
Oh,
He's like, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that was the general, like the thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you find out what the Giant score is? Anyway, so he wanted to know the football score. He's busy. He's busy with his, incredible show.
Wow.
And he's like, you could do it. Find out what the score
Talk
is.
about multitasking up the tuchus.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was fine though. It was fine because again, you're like, whatever you need, man. Like, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's all good. I think I told the stage manager to tell him, and then I went back to scribbling in my different highlighter colors and everything. I had this Bible.
How did you take notes for every character at the same time?
I ended up doing, I think a lot of swings do this. I ended up having a color for each of the 6 characters. Blue was Tommy, because
Blue
was my favorite color.
Hey.
I believe it was blue was Tommy, pink Gaudio, yellow was Norm. I'm trying to remember, it's been so long. But everybody had their own thing, and then I would draw like little diagrams. And what I did was I ended up getting a printout of what the set was from the stage manager, and then I pasted the diagrams inside my little Bible, so I could just like scribble. Right. So what I do with my scripts, and people think I'm nuts, but I cut it up and I take a composition notebook because it's hard to hold a binder. And then I literally take either I normally do Scotch tape, and then I tape it in all the different in the notebook itself. So then it's a lot smaller to hold. Right. And then you can literally, so one side is, obviously the script, and then the other side is where you can write notes in the actual composition notebook itself.
Mike, you're nuts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's a little nuts. And I'm pretty sure I gave mine to Andrew Frace when he took over for me. So I don't know if he still has it. Andrew, if you're out there, if you still have it.
Well, so we're having him on in a few weeks, so we'll ask him about that.
Gotta ask him if he still has it. Yeah. He was
so you would only put the pages of your scenes in the notebook, because I can't imagine that the whole script would fit into one notebook.
The whole script does. If you get a bit, you have to cut it tiny enough. Yeah, right. I'll come over. I'll show you how to do it. You just
please,
sure.
Literally, yes.
Okay, so when did you know that you wanted to direct?
I don't know. After you've done a lot of like regional, and you're in the room, and you sort of have to like bite your tongue because they're trying to figure something out, and you're like, I kind of think I know what we should do here, but I can't say it because you don't want to step on anybody's toes. That's when I knew I was like,
hey, coach, I have a play.
Yeah, after I had enough experience of being in shows, I felt confident enough that I'm like, I can direct stuff. But it didn't. Directing in college was one thing. The professional moment kind of happened randomly. I was with Jacob Nager, who used to be a part of Broadway Boys, and we were sort of scouting out this place that they would sing at if they were going to sing in there again. It was like some kind of event of some sort. And I ran into these two people that run the Square Foot Theater, and they were very nice. They're like, oh, Broadway Boys, da da da. We were like chatting for a little bit, and I had a couple glasses of wine, so I was like, I was feeling no pain. And they started talking about all the shows they were going to do, and they mentioned Rent. And as I said before, Rent was a very important show for me. It was definitely a catalyst for me loving musical theater as much as I do. And they're like, yes, we're doing this, we're doing Rent. And I'm like, do you have a director yet? Like, just like flew out of my mouth. And they're like, no. And I was like, I would love to. And I didn't ever think I was going to hear from them. I didn't think anything about it. I went back home, cut to like a couple days later. They're like, hey, so are you interested in directing Rent? What have you done? Da, da, da. And I was like, well, I really only did stuff in college. But they gave me a shot. And nice. I got to go to Connecticut and I got to direct it. And there were kids, young adults, and then there were adults in it. There was like a spectrum.
Yep.
And
Hey, wow.
it was really great. And from that moment on, after it was a massive cast. Rent's normally a tiny cast, but because of community theater, you kind of had to. You couldn't really cut anybody. You had to find something for them to do.
Find something
we did
for
a good
everyone.
job of that. That's when I really got the bug, and I was like, man, I want to do this again. And I got to do it again. I got to actually be in charge of a Camp Meadowlark in Maine. I got to kind of run.
I've heard of Camp Meadowlark. Yeah.
I did Rock of Ages there with the kids.
Oh,
How was
shit.
that?
It was fun. It was Rock
it
of
the
Ages.
junior- was
It's
it
the
version?
junior version, but it was still really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some like short one acts and plays, and we did a little like a musical review. Like I taught like classes during the day, and then we'd be working on the show at night, and it was really fun.
Directing kids is a lot of fun.
It's very rewarding. And when I did 13, that's when like I just love that show, and again to see them up there doing their thing. And the girl who sang, oh, what's the song I'm thinking of?
That's what it means to be a friend.
She was so adorable, and I was just like weeping watching her sing this song. And
Some of these kids are so talented.
And she was tiny. She wasn't as old as some of the other kids in the show, but I still cast her because she was really, really, really good. And some other older kids were kind of upset, but she was phenomenal in the role. And she broke your heart when she sang the song, and you're just like,
And your eyes are all
yeah. Yeah. I can't think of the words right now, but yes, that song's so good. Shout out to JRB.
Yeah, shout out JRB.
JRB.
So I used to direct kids theater a lot growing up. That's not. But so I for years I was junior and senior counselor at a musical theater summer camp in Miami, and then the summer of 2017, 2018, and then the summer of 2018, 2019, I was the actual director of the camp, and I used to write musicals for them also. So those 2 summers I wrote them and directed them. Wow. And we had this one girl both of those summers. She's maybe 8 or 9 years old. She has the emotional depth of like a teenager who does musical theater. It was unreal. So yeah. I co-wrote this video game musical with one of my best friends, and this little girl was playing the main character, and we wrote this very soft, tender ballad for her to sing, and everyone was crying every night because seriously, the emotional depth from this kid is insane. She's gonna be like, if she really pursues it when she's older, she's gonna be huge. She's gonna be huge. So it is, like you said, very rewarding because you get to be a part of their journey. And it's like, I knew them when they were just little pitzels, but when they were little pitzels doing some amazing work.
When it comes to directing Rent, I would love to know your approach, because I've seen Rent 3 times in different community theaters. I've never seen a good production.
That just gets the message.
Well, like I've seen great, all my friends be in it and do a great job, but it's just not. I don't feel anything.
The vision is not there.
Yeah. So what's your vision when it comes to directing Rent, or any contemporary musical?
I think something that we leaned into heavily was, when I was working on it, it's now a period piece, and people forget that.
True.
It was a very particular time when like all these things that are going on in the show that are happening. It's not now, so you have to lean into that, and you have to make sure the relationships seem real. We did a lot of character stuff. Sans just working on the scenes and the songs. I had Roger and Mark just like talk to pretend they're in their loft hanging out. Like what would that dynamic be besides what you're giving on the page? Like, let's just, if you're hanging out, what would that be like? And so we did some improv. There needs to be, if you don't care about that core group, you're dead in the water. So that was the big thing for me. I was like, we got to make sure this core group. I also was very lucky because I ended up casting the guy who both because we didn't have an Angel and we didn't have a Collins. So
Oh, wow.
I ended up casting the artistic director of the theater as
Mhm.
Angel and his partner Pat as Collins. And
Oh my God.
that
wow.
love was already there. So
there.
that was one thing I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. They're good, you know. And then I just really focused on,
They'll rehearse at home.
and then I focused on, you know, the relationships between Mimi and Roger and Mark. And I also, you know, I did a little. I didn't. Whoever was right for the role was right for the role. You know, I ended up a African American guy played Roger.
Nice.
Very similar voice to when he did the rock stuff. Very similar to Cult of Personality's lead singer. Like he had a really cool rock belt. He was so cool. And then you know, I flipped it. You know, Maureen was still attractive in her own way, but she wasn't like skinny mini. She had some curves on her, and she, you know, it wasn't like again, if you're gonna do a show, you know, don't just do what's done. We want to find something interesting, a new take on it. Because then why are we doing it then? We just want to recreate what was already done on Broadway? That's boring. So let's find something that's new and interesting about it. And so I wanted all the people to have real relationships and to not be, I wanted to look at that CD and be like, okay, none of them look like that CD.
Because it sounds like you're an ensemble director.
Yeah, you want to make
you.
There's community. It's not all about the leads. Like there are many other, and I think because I played ensemble a lot, maybe I lean towards that. But it's, you know, it takes a village. It doesn't take one person.
It only takes a village.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about Vegas.
Oh man.
All right.
Hey,
okay.
he went to Vegas for his health, right?
Right. Yes, it's
Yep.
good.
You're moving to Las Vegas. Why? Your health.
How did you first find out about the show? And
Oh my gosh. I saw the original cast on Broadway.
Hey.
The woman I was dating at the time, who's also in the business, who I won't say who it is. She's like, you need to audition for this. And I was like, I'm never gonna get this. It's never gonna happen. Da, 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 da. And it was just ironic because I remember my father playing the Four Seasons in the car for me. Like there were a lot of like things that sort of like led to this moment. So I was like, you know, I guess I'll audition. And I auditioned. I was beyond thrilled. I kept on getting callbacks. And then, you know, there was that really, really nerve-wracking, heart palpitating callback of like being in front of Frankie and Bob and Dez and Sergio and Mary and Tara, and everybody's in the room, and you have to like play 6 different people in a row. I remember I went from Bob, and then I just like, well, how am I gonna like make this cool, like be Joe Pesci? And then I just kind of like spun around and I was like, Tommy, I got your 4th guy. And I just like went and they laughed, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm making them laugh, you know. So it was just a blessing, and it sort of was one of those things that felt so surreal when I got that phone call. I remember I had 0 voice after screaming at the top of my lungs with Mary on the phone. She's like, is this Mike? And I was like, is this Mary? You know, like I'd been waiting for the phone call.
Mary.
Like, we'd like to offer, and like before she said anything, I was like, yeah, I was like screaming. So it was a very surreal, incredible. That first moment was incredible, and then just, you know, you're doing this hit show in Vegas. I mean, the perfect setting for this kind of thing. Everybody loves this music. You feel like you feel like a rock star when you're up there playing these guys. They forget that you're not really them, and you know, it was just it was wild. And also, you know, on the other side of the coin, you know, it was very easy to walk into a club. Oh, I'm a Jersey Boys, okay, and like, you know, VIP, you know, it was like there was a lot of that too, you know, and so that's where, you know, you had to be good about, you know, you got a job to do, and you can play, you know, you
work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work hard.
So did you know you were auditioning for Vegas particularly?
I had been in a series of sort of like, I knew I was in the fold, and basically what Mary told me early on was, I'm trying to find the right fit for you, because every company, you know, has a sort of she kind of explained it one time to me. I don't remember exactly how she said it, but she's like, I'm just trying to find the right place. She's like, you're going to be in the family, I just don't know where to put you. And that was kind of the thing, you know, and through the auditions. And I was like, does she really mean that? Is that really a thing? Okay, hopefully that's true, you know. And then sure enough, I got to be in the Vegas company, but I had been in auditions. I'd been auditions for the tour, and when it first was really starting to get hot, and it was like McDonald's, I was going to be everywhere. So, and then they found the place for me. And I honestly, as much as I would have liked to have been a role, I think where I was cast was smart, because I think I'm one of those people that can do a lot of different things well. And so I was,
Yes.
and it was also one of those things too that it was challenging in a way that I learned a lot, having to be able to switch gears and be ready at a moment's notice to play any of the 6 people.
Can you tell us who those 6 people are?
Okay.
We tracks the track style.
So I covered Tommy, Bob, Norm, Knuckles, Barry, and Pesci.
And who did you mostly go on for?
I mostly went on for Bob Gaudio. And listen, once I wrapped my head around it, I had a blast. And once I sort of understood where he lived in the world of the play, because he's very dry. He's not like the show. It has to be very sort of like still, and the lines are gonna. What I learned quickly, the laughs that were written,
The laughs.
if you say them honestly, you're gonna get the laugh that you're supposed to get. If you put on any kind of like something, trying to explain acting and terrible lingo right now, but what I'm saying, if you put anything else on top of it, you don't have to. It was all on the page. If you were just honest in that moment, and
you can talk to me.
You're like Scorpio, Gaudio. Very just like like innocent. He's so innocent, and that first time when he comes out after he's the last guy you meet, like, hi, Bob Gaudio, last piece of the puzzle, and you're just like playing your piano and you're doing your thing. If you're just genuine and innocent, that payoff for when you're then the businessman in the second act and you're running shit, like when you're like you're running everything and Tommy's like about to lose his mind, it's just so great because he comes from this like innocent place, even though you see moments of it in the scene. Somebody said, you're right. He's like, no, well, I want this and I want this and I want this. And I don't really like lines right now. You see moments of that businessman, but then when you get to really see him be the businessman, second act, sit down, all those moments,
especially that
great payoff.
Yeah, and that's so it's all the ancillary rights and the favored nations. It's like so Tommy's just looking at Bob like, you fucking serious?
Yeah.
And then he walks away. That's such a funny laugh.
Yeah. You get this glimpse of what's to come, of what he's going to be like, but he's still very timid. But when he grows into being a man, because I think Bob really kind of, that's his arc. He's very much a kid, and then he really grows up to be where Tommy is a man. He's just a man child, essentially.
Exactly.
And
that's the foil there. No, you're right.
And so when Bob, when he asserts himself, and it's such a great payoff. Also, his monologue at the end, hands down, I think is one of the best ones written.
Bob's.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So good. So
I remember, without me. Yeah. I remember the first time I heard that line, I was like, shit.
Yeah. It's just so, again, the entire thing is.
And it totally contradicts, like in the best way, it totally contradicts like the whole thing about the fucking ego. Maybe it could have been an ego thing.
Right. And then Bob is like all.
Yeah. It's like, I'm probably one out of 10 Italians who doesn't like the drama. And we think, but then none of it's gonna happen without me. Yeah. It's like, okay, go smoke your cigar.
He can't help himself. He can't help say it, but it's still an understated ego. It's not a Tommy ego. It's a very much like, I wrote all the songs.
You're right.
Peace out, everybody. It's like I was the guy. So it was a very great time getting to play that role. I loved it.
So tell us about
the moment.
So you're going for a costume fitting. You just had a put in.
So I just had my final put in as Bob. Sort of, I was cleared, for people that aren't really familiar with that term. I was cleared basically to go on for Bob now because I had done the ragdoll moment. I was in wardrobe and I had the blue pants on. I had a white tank top on. I had my dress shoes on, and I was just getting fitted, getting the pants just right.
Which also like, but it wasn't an actual fitting, or was it?
It was pretty much a fitting. I mean, it was during the show. Like
That's so weird that they would have a fitting for you during the show. Like he might have to go on.
Well, once the show started, I guess they were just like, can we get this done? I guess they were trying to kill two birds with one stone, like do a show and get
Okay.
people fitted for stuff. So I'm in there. It was someone that didn't have to run the show, obviously. So they were just down there helping me. And all of a sudden, over the loudspeaker, we hear, Mike back to the stage, please. And I was like, they just say what I think they just said? Yeah, Mike back to the stage, please. They're like, you better go. And I was like, what's going on? And so we sort of heard the music, the talking and the music stop. And I was like, oh my God. So I start running down this like super long hallway that's like in the belly of the palazzo.
That seems to be so much longer when you actually have to get somewhere.
Then like from my left flanks, from my left comes Colin. He's like got the script, flanking me on the right is Graham giving me water. He's like, you're on, go up there. Like, and then I'm like running, I get up there, they put me in the outfit, and now they're like, this is going to happen. So they know it's going to happen. So Jeremy just starts kind of riffing the Bob monologue in a Tommy kind of way. And I remember I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. It's like right before Sherry, for all you Jersey Boys fans out there, right before the big three. And
all you submarine watchers.
I get like lightly, not because I wasn't like not going to go, but they're like, okay, you're ready.
It's your cue,
I'm in the
whatever.
jacket. And so I go out on stage, and he's like saying some line, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, yeah. So, are you ready? Are you ready to do this, Bob? Something to that effect. Jeremy, I'm sorry, but it was something similar to that. And I was like, ready as I'll ever be, Tommy. Boom, boom, boom. And then and people lost their minds because they're seeing this person they're like, who is this? He's not in the show. He's the understudy. So they're like, so everybody was on board. They were like, I hope this guy like kills it, and I'm doing my thing, and they're screaming.
Energy. Can you describe from when you were in the wings, like the show stopped for how long exactly before Jeremy started riffing?
I didn't really hear talking until I got up like the steps, because I had to go like through this tunnel.
Steps of the palace.
Right.
I had to go through this tunnel and then up, up another set of steps, and then we get to the theater, and there were more steps to get onto the stage themselves. So I didn't really hear any talking again until I think they somehow let him know through some kind of sign language that I was going to be, coming in, because again, Bergen had fallen. He went down I'm about to leave for Frankie's house when a tune pops in my head. I don't have a tape recorder, so and then he like ran down the steps and slipped on himself and hurt himself. And he had to like crawl. Can you imagine? He had to like crawl off.
Oh my God.
And he was out for a while. I'd say it was like at least a week that I was on for Bob. And I became more comfortable as I went on. But this moment was just, I've never experienced anything like this in the theater.
And the crowd goes wild.
The crowd,
the
crowd went nuts. They went nuts, and then they were on my side for like the rest of the show. So it was.
So
really
I have
cool.
a question.
Wonderful.
You went on stage just to go off stage because, right? Or did you go on stage already in the red jacket?
I was already in. I was in full. I was in.
Put it on.
Oh, so Barry Belson had already done his, or did they skip Barry Belson?
I think he might have been like mid. No.
Oh,
he did a little bit of the spiel. No. They held it. He did the spiel after he said, are you ready for this thing? And then he said, the 4 seasons. I think he cut some of it, so we went right into it.
So everyone had already left the stage, come back on stage, and now you're on stage in a jacket.
Because they realized that Bergen could not continue. They're like, oh, he hurt himself, like he's gonna be fine. They realized, they were like, oh no, like it's
oh no.
And, oh no. Yeah, and it was
but the
just
lights did not go down, right? Like so when a hold happens, everything's
I think normally like lights go up in the house, they say like, ladies and gentlemen. I don't remember because it's been so long, again, because I'm old. How BJ did it. I don't know if there was a moment of saying something. There might have been. It felt so fast. I was rushed up there, and then Jeremy sort of was riffing on the Bob monologue. And then the music hit, and they were all like looking at me, and you could tell they were kind of like, okay, like this is gonna be interesting. They're all like looking at me like, okay, does he know his job? Because like, they're checking in. I'm like, all right, guys, here we are. Do and I'm just kind of like looking at them, and it was just, it was so wild. I think at the time, who was Frankie? Was it Rick? My first might have been Rick.
So it was really early, right?
Yeah, it was pretty early on that I got to do it.
The scene when the Jersey contract scene when he's saying like we should do our own thing. Like how what was your initial thought when you were reading that? It's like, oh shit, like should I be like a sneakier Tommy?
A sneakier Bob.
Well, no, but like did you read it as Bob trying to be like Tommy?
Oh, okay.
By trying to take control.
I read it like Bob was really looking out for the best interest of the group, and he's like, we need to do this in order to protect what he's like I know we have together. So I never felt when reading it that Bob was ever sneaky or backstabbing. Bob just knew what needed to be done in order to get things done.
Why do you think? Now we just want to always clarify that when we talk about Bob or Frankie or Tommy, we're talking about the characters in the show.
Yes.
We just always like to clarify that. But why?
Yeah, I never got when I read it. And when I played it too, I never played it like he was being sneaky. It was like very much like, this is the best interest of the group. This is why we're gonna do this.
When Nikki says in Act 2, what's Gava? Why do you think he didn't know about it?
Then you know.
No, but it's so interesting. Maybe I feel like Bob would say, "Oh, it never came up." What? It never came. But I mean, obviously, that scene never happened. Like, you never see a scene where Nick asks, like, and Tommy just blows it off. You know, it's Frankie and Bob's partnership. You know, so it just seems so strange why Nick never. And obviously, it plays into his whole arc of him not knowing anything, of him always being in the back, like I'm with them, and oh Bob, hey, finally got your attention, hey Bob. So, but why didn't Bob or Frankie? I mean, Frankie also. I mean, this is turning into a whole Nick thing, but Frankie always boasted how close he was with Nick, but just Bob and Frankie never told him about Gava.
That's a really good question. You would think he would have known that, but I think because Frankie and Bob were so tight, maybe they just didn't bring it up. And or another maybe piece is they didn't want to tell Nick because then Nick would tell Tommy.
Well, back in the day, it was all about loyalty. And like, for example, we were watching the Sopranos pilot last night.
Oh man. We're getting because Many Saints of Newark trailer came out. Looks so good.
Oh, right? I watched that trailer. I was like, why am I not in this movie as some kind of extra or somebody? It's so good. It looks so good.
Yeah, so now we're binging it and we're listening to the Talking Sopranos podcast also.
Hell yeah.
Extra dissect.
Listen.
But it's the whole Gary Cooper, the strong silent type. No, there was and in the mob at least, like no one said anything. It was a code of silence.
The omerta.
Yeah. So it was probably the same thing with the guys, like.
But here's what's so interesting: when they're talking about it in the movie, when Frankie and Bob are having that scene in the movie, Tommy's overhearing the conversation. But in the show, right towards the end of the scene, right before "Oh What a Night," you see Nick coming out onto the bridge.
Right.
So that always made me confused. Like, is Nick listening in? Does he know what's going on? And then he still asks, what's Gava? I don't know. But that was just something so interesting. And I keep forgetting that I have that question.
I don't know. I'd have to refresh myself and see it again. Like I said, I want to, and see the staging and see if I think that it was a on purpose thing that like he's there in order over here, or it's just staging and he's above, they're going on,
It's just so interesting. Like, yeah, maybe.
That would change the dynamic of the entire show, though. Honestly, because that would totally make Bob the pseudo bad guy.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever asked either like a Nick or a Bob about
this? I keep fucking forgetting about that question. I've had this question for months, but I keep forgetting to ask it.
I don't know. I've never like I said, I never thought Bob was being sneaky. I just think it was one of those things that he just didn't,
I think there might be also. I think there might be also.
Right.
But so I always think about the relationship between a stepchild and a step parent, like someone who's coming into a family, right?
Mhm.
Like Tommy, I feel like Tommy never liked Bobby, and Bobby never really liked Tommy. And one thought that one was invading or stepping in on the group, and one was trying to like, they were like having like an arm wrestle, that was definitely a power struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it was definitely power. I mean, it all ends up in smoke between Tommy and Bobby at the end. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna buy you out. I don't. You don't buy me out. I buy you out. With what?
Yeah,
No,
and that's a
but
great.
so-
It's a great moment for Bob. That's such a great moment for Bob to be able to say. He's been waiting to say that for so long. With what, Tommy? What are you gonna buy me out with?
But I feel like
You have no money left.
I feel like he might have had it locked and loaded, but at the same time, I feel like it also is something like I finally realize now that I can stand up to you because you're nothing more than some Stugats who just borrowed a bunch of money, and
Yeah,
now
again,
I
I don't
understand.
think there's any sort of animosity when he says it. He's like, with what, Tommy? It's very sort of, and if you play it that way, it should be played very just like, what are you gonna buy me out with? Like not like
That's
an
exactly what Corey
asshole.
Giacomo
Yeah, it just
told
has
us
to be
also.
very just like, with what, Tommy? What are you gonna buy me out with?
Well, it's just wild because, like I mentioned earlier, you like it seems like you'd be the perfect fit for Tommy, but you went on for Bob more. So
And
Yes.
you only went on for Tommy once.
I did
So
a bunch of
did you know
rehearsal,
about that
but then one
night?
time. The one Bob, I mean the one Tommy moment.
Yes.
Tommy moment. Wow. I mean, it was so. It happened in a flash. It was one of those things I did not see coming. Because the stage manager was very like me pro Bob, but you know, I got the call. You're going on. I went to the theater. All the guys knew that like my heart was like, I love.
Were
Tommy
you were going
so,
on for Devin May?
Who was I going on for? That's a very good question. And again, I'm old.
Wait, so
I have to
this
think
was in
about that.
2008.
It might have been.
I think it was
been
Kush. Might have been
Kush.
Kush.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might have been Kush.
Jeremy Kushner.
Jeremy
Jeremy
Kushner.
Jeremy
Sorry.
Kushner.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys were great. They were very welcoming. They all did a little. They would all do like a little shot before they did the beginning of the show. It was fine. It was like a nip. But there was like there were things they did, and they welcomed me with open arms. And you know, when I got behind that fence, and I'd been behind there once before because I was on for Nick DeVito and Norm. It was but then to be where Tommy is, it was just a very and you're coming down stage with the snaps. It was just
those
surreal.
snaps that I still can't.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to do those snaps.
You can't do the snaps. You could do
No,
the snaps.
I
Hold
just
on.
learned. I just learned how to
Yes,
do the.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
here we go. Here we go.
Wait, I don't know if I have enough room where I am. And I remember, wait.
Yes,
Boy,
I
boy,
can't figure it out.
It's a style, man. You gotta like
I
rock
know,
into
I
it.
can't.
Isn't it?
It took me years, not years. It took me like a year to figure out how to floss. Not like my teeth, but you know that floss move.
Yeah.
So
Also, this is such a stylized thing because a lot of guys,
that I do.
a lot of guys want to do this. It's not that.
Yeah, no, I'm always doing this all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always doing that. I'm always doing
It's
the fucking heel
all-
twist.
It's all in the style, baby. It's all in the style.
Can we see your jacket on that?
Oh yeah,
Oh
she's
my
wearing
God,
a
yes.
special jacket.
I will show you. I will show you. This is. Oh, thank you. This is from my father who passed. I got this in Vegas.
Oh,
actually.
wow.
So it's a Celtic cross that was on his ring, and so I got that. And then it says father. I'm actually gonna add probably my mom to this as well.
Beautiful.
So this is.
There it
This is-
is.
That's so
This
nice.
is OG Jersey Boys Vegas cast. You can't get this anywhere else.
It
Love
This is
it.
right here, baby. This is it.
Yes, and with the gray part of the, I love that with the back. That's wonderful.
I'm a little hot, so I'm gonna take it off right now. There you go. Yeah. All right. So when I was in Vegas, obviously I wanted to be, Tommy. I wanted to be Bob. I wanted to be all these roles, and I was given opportunities to audition for tours and this and that. It never happened. I ended up leaving the show early. After a year and a half, I went and I did a regional production of Rent. I got frustrated because I really wanted to audition for the Broadway show when they were looking for replacements for bigger parts, Tommy and whoever other were basically Tommy, but whatever they were looking for. And I made a big mistake And while I'm on this, I'd like to apologize for my indiscretion when I was younger and didn't realize the hurt and the effect it would cause, the ripple effect, because you know what, as much as I wanted it, I was not entitled to it. Yes, I covered the roles. Yes, I knew them, but I was never entitled. And I think there was a sense of entitlement, and I never should have put it on Facebook. So it was a huge mistake on my part. And I thank my lucky stars that both Dodgers and Tara Rubin Casting, I'm hoping, well, I know Tara Rubin Casting forgave me because they got to give me Bronx Tale recently, and thank them for that. I'm hoping that Dodgers has forgiven me. Maybe they haven't, but it was a very silly move on my part. I never should have done it. And if any young people are listening in the business, don't do what I did. It was you're going to yell 10 years again, but I mean, it took me 10 years to get back in the good graces with a casting office. And I had to be very upfront about any agent I was meeting with, be like, listen, this happened. You're going to hear about me. You know, at the time I lost my agent. When I did what I did, I lost my agent immediately. I was blacklisted from Tara Rubin Casting. I wasn't called in for anything they were doing. But to their credit, that was the smart move. You know, this was Jersey Boys. You know, who am I to speak my mind the way I did and sort of belittle something that I love so much, is how I feel now about it. And I'm gonna get emotional, but it was a big mistake, and I can talk in circles, but that's basically what I wanted to say. So I hope whoever's listening, you know, the powers that be, I know what I did was wrong, and I'm grown up now to say this to everyone involved, that I apologize wholeheartedly, and for all the hurt I caused when I did what I did.
Well, let's raise a glass and I'll salute to us owning our mistakes, because we all make mistakes. And I definitely and young people too. Exactly, that's what I get. And for a lot of young people too, this is a huge thing for all of us to know. Just be careful with what you put online.
Discretion, exactly what you said. It's so important.
Right, and
you really do. You got to be careful.
Right. Yeah. And if anything, just go directly to the source with any concerns that you have. And
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just to go directly to them.
But you know what? We'll tell you, Mike. Everyone, you know, that we've talked to, you know, when we mentioned your name or we've talked to, they all love you, brother.
They're like,
oh, that's very nice. That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And hey, family is everything. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, you know, like
that's what it's for. And so how did it go with the Bronx Tale?
Oh, Bronx Tale was. I mean, again, for me,
Mary. You said that Mary was your champion.
She is my champion. She is my champion because she was the one that brought me into the fold when they were still looking for roles, and the role they were trying to fill was Eddie Mush cover Lorenzo,
which I saw you do in Miami.
You saw me do Mush or Lorenzo? You saw me do Eddie Mush. Right?
Mush. No, Mush. Yeah. I saw Richard.
He was so good. I think it helped that I kind of look a little like Richard.
You do though.
No. He's more handsome. But no, he was great, and Mary was great, and they brought me in, and again, I will say what happened. I was highly considered. She's like, we're gonna talk, you know, the team is really interested in you, but they heard about what happened. We're gonna have to talk about it. So then, my hand to God, I had to get on the phone with Jerry Zaks, the Jerry Zaks.
Oh shit.
Yes, my heart is like in my throat, and I had to be like, listen, what I did back in the day was a terrible mistake that will not happen again. You know, because he wanted to make sure that I was on the up and up, and I wasn't going to be a hothead, and I wasn't going to do something stupid. And I understood it, you know, and in that moment, I completely understood it, and I had to, you know, and I said, Mary, absolutely, you know, please give me his number. I'll call him, and thank God, and thank my dad and whoever else was helping me in the moment, that they again took a chance on me, and they gave me a second chance, and I got to do it. It was a wonderful experience. It also kind of came full circle because my father and I used to watch the movie, and we used to quote it all the time. So to sort of jump into this story that I love so much and watched from my father, and then play. Lorenzo was kind of my dad. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but Lorenzo was basically my dad. So then get to kind of play my dad in a show when I got to go on was really was quite something.
And then you told us that whenever you would go on, Richard would ask you how the show went.
He is a class act.
Richard H. Blake. For
he really is a class act. I've understudied a lot of people, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 they don't care how you did. Richard was always like, "How'd it go? Yeah, how'd how'd this go or how'd that go?" And he was always, just really just, it's a little thing, but it means a lot. It means a lot to someone when someone checks in like that,
Sure.
and takes that time, because you're working hard to preserve what they bring to the table every night. 8 days or whatever, how many 9 shows a week?
8 shows a week.
8 shows a week. So when someone who you look up to is like, "How did it go playing my role?" I was like, you don't have to, like, he just, he cared. It was nice, and
It's the little things.
just means a lot. The little things, absolutely.
So can you tell us about your new show?
Yes, my girlfriend and I have created a show called Timeless. It is, it's one of those things where, yes, it's a little bit of a review, but it's from the 40s to the 60s. Big band music in the first act, and second act we do a lot of like 50s, 60s rock and roll.
It's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be a horn. Hey, I think if things work out, we talk about a saxophone. Hey, Mike Backus, get the fucking horn section, okay?
Yes.
Triad Theater is gonna be a horn section.
Like a live band.
Live band.
There's definitely a live band. There will definitely be a live band. Yes. Our musical director is wonderful, Brian P. Kennedy. He was my musical director for Bronx Tale. He's doing the arrangements. He's playing. We're in the process of finalizing who the musicians are as far as drums and bass and guitar, but there will be definitely a live band. Absolutely. And because I wanted to do something a little different, because you go to see these shows a lot, and it's most of the time it's like kind of the same genre throughout the whole thing. And so we're doing something very different, where we're kind of flipping the script second act and giving the audience a wide net of music. So it's one night, but it's of a lot of different genres. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think I'll be talking in between, like, kind of cabaret style.
Yeah, there'll be some banter. There's a very personal moment where I talk about my father and what he introduced me to. I don't want to give it away in case people come see the show, but the person that he introduced me to, and that kind of is a catalyst for the music that I listened to throughout the beginning of my life, and then why I went the way I did with the rest of the music to my grandfather and records he played for me. And so there's a little bit of that sprinkled in there, and of course some ribbing of each other. She gives me the business because I'm a little older than she is. So so there's some fun banter. Again, it's like scripted, but it's more like, once we know what we're supposed to be saying, it's going to be very loose and
Right.
more off the cuff. But there
Well,
is kind of a script.
It's beautiful about your dad. I lost my dad a few years ago, so when we go see your show on July 29th at 7 p.m. on the
Triad
Theater.
I can't wait to see it and see what you're saying.
My dad he's passed now, and so is my mom, but my dad was a big supporter, very supportive of me wanting to be in this business. So is my mom. So
That's
kudos
beautiful.
to both of them.
Well, also to your parents.
Salud. I have water, but cheers.
Oh, so do we. So do we.
Do you think it's bad luck if you cheers with water?
They say it is, but I mean, we just did. I think it's going to be okay.
Everything's blessed. It's fine.
Everything's stay blessed. Well, I think this is a great point to wrap up. This has been another amazing episode of Silhouettes JV Podcast. Thank you very much, Mike Backus. Thank you to my
guys.
wonderful co-producer,
Your queen.
partner, my queen.
Oh, God.
Everything. Thank you. Here's your crown. And salud.
Well, thank you so much.
I had so much fun reminiscing with you guys, seriously. So thank you, and talking about my journey and my career and getting to know you guys even better. So really,
This is only the beginning for you.
Yeah. One more final salud.
Yes.
Salud.
Yes. The track star. Like that.